De'Aaron Fox is still listed as doubtful for Game 5 of the Kings and Warriors playoff series tomorrow. However, he said in practice today that he's playing. So I'm here with good news on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all postseason long. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports reporter and producer for ABC 10 News. And it's so good to be home recording this podcast from my home studio here. But it was in my drive home from San Francisco where the news dropped for me the same as it dropped for all of you. De'Aaron Fox fracturing a finger on his left hand, which is his shooting hand. I had no idea. Kings media, NBA media in general, had no idea about this incident. De'Aaron Fox did a fantastic job. I wouldn't say of hiding it necessarily, but he certainly didn't complain about it and he didn't let it bother him. With the exception of the clip where most believe the fracture happened, which actually happened on a dead ball play. De'Aaron Fox was fouled and then continued to just go to the rim for a layup. He and Kevon Looney met, collided. Kevon Looney kind of slapped at Fox's hand going for the ball, and that's when the injury allegedly took place. You can see Fox shaking his hand after that play. Other than him shaking his hand, which I didn't notice, and I don't think anybody really noticed in real time, there was no indication that De'Aaron Fox had anything wrong with him. Like, I was standing within 3 feet of the guy in the locker room post-game, and he had no ice on it. He was not holding it in any kind of way. He was not wincing or indicating that anything was wrong whatsoever. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is, for lack of a better term, De'Aaron Fox is a warrior. Like, he just fights through, and he fought through injuries at different points this season. He's fought through injuries and played through injuries for the majority of his career. He's been known for playing banged up at times. So we had no idea that Fox had anything wrong with him. Then that bomb drops yesterday, and instantly we're thinking doom and gloom. He's listed as doubtful, but there was some optimism, and I don't know if it was more wishful thinking on my part or what it was, but just knowing De'Aaron Fox, I had a feeling he was still going to be playing. And it's still not guaranteed or confirmed that he is playing other than the words coming out of his own mouth. In fact, let's start there. Here is De'Aaron Fox, who participated in non-contact Kings practice today. You can find clips on social media of him shooting free throws, shooting three-pointers, trying to get comfortable with the splint and wrap on one of his fingers on his shooting hand. But here's what Fox had to say about playing in tomorrow's Game 5 after practice was over.
How you feeling?
I feel all right.
You think you'll be able to go?
Most likely, yeah. I mean, for me right now, it's just a tolerance on like the pad of my finger, making sure I can shoot the ball.
How different was shooting feeling with that thing on?
As we got going, as kind of the pain started going away, I felt like I could do my normal shot, so I think I'll be good.
How's the ball handling with that?
The ball handling action was fine. Like, as soon as I got out, dribbling and passing was fine. So for me, the most important thing was could I shoot as pain-free as possible. Like, I have to play with protection on it. Like, if I don't play with the protection and it does get hit, then I'll probably have to get like a screw in it. So I mean, what I'm wearing, like, I think the big thing for me was could I feel the pad of my finger? Like, you know, if you're playing basketball, you're throwing a ball, like, you want to be able to feel the ball on your finger. So that was a big thing for me. And, I mean, it's protecting what it needs to protect. So it's been fine.
What's the pain like, De'Aaron? 40 shots out there. How did that feel?
Just now?
Just now.
Oh, yeah, I was okay. I think when I first got on the court earlier, like before practice, it was a little bit more difficult. But as it got going, obviously as painkillers are kicking in, it felt better.
Game basketball.
I expected to get hit, but
how are you gonna deal with that?
I mean, at this point during the season, something hurts anyway. So I mean, you play through the pain. There's no excuses coming from this way.
What's the medical staff saying about the possibility of you playing? Because I imagine it's probably up to them before it's even up to you, isn't it?
I mean, it's going to be the cliche. It feels regular season. Probably don't play. Sit out for a week or two. See how it feels. But right now, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm playing.
Sometimes teams have to protect players, right? Fox obviously wants to play in every single game that he possibly can. He's a competitor. He's a fighter. He just wants to play. Of course, you don't have to convince him of the stakes of this Game 5. This Game 5 is massive. More than likely, and NBA history will tell you this, whoever wins Game 5 is probably going to win this series. If the Sacramento Kings lose Game 5, I'm telling you now, the Sacramento Kings are losing the series. I don't think the Sacramento Kings would win Game 6 in Golden State if they lose Game 5 in Sacramento. This is a pivotal, what's the word? Pivotal. Jeez. I speak for a living and I can't talk. This is a pivotal game for both teams. Like, the Warriors have the momentum coming into this game, although we know they've been dreadful on the road. Obviously, the home team is not lost yet in this series. And here is De'Aaron Fox going into this game, still listed as doubtful, and is probably going to be listed as doubtful until the day of. Maybe it changes to questionable tomorrow, what have you. But De'Aaron is saying, hey, I'm playing. Sometimes the team has to protect the player, though, right? Because the player is always going to want to play. Fox knows the stakes. But if it potentially could make it worse or have a significantly bigger impact to De'Aaron Fox's career, sometimes it's the responsibility of the team and the training staff to ignore what Fox wants and go with his best interests at heart. Let me tell you why I'm not concerned about that in this situation, because we're talking about a finger injury here. If it was like Fox dealt with hamstring injuries earlier in the season, if Fox's hamstring were flaring up, or Fox had injuries to his feet or injuries to his knees or something like that, I'd be a little more concerned about, hey, this could have a lasting impact on Fox's future. The Kings really need to consider holding him out, maybe against his will a little bit. But with a finger injury, like we've seen with Domantas Sabonis, who's played the majority of this season now with his broken hand or broken thumb and the injury that he's had, you're able to play through it, theoretically. It's probably going to have some sort of impact on his game. Domantas Sabonis' injury is to his non-shooting hand. De'Aaron's injury is to his shooting hand. So it's probably going to have some sort of impact. We have no idea. De'Aaron Fox was saying that he felt pretty good about it and that he could still feel the ball like on his finger, which is really important. So all indication should be that De'Aaron Fox will suit up and play. And I'm not concerned about the team's need to hold him out or protect him from himself when, sure, this is an injury that could flare up. Sure, it could get worse. It might need surgery. Who knows? And of course, De'Aaron Fox is going to run the risk of having his hand whacked anytime he's attacking the basket or he tries to work his way amongst a crowd of Warrior defenders. That's something I think he's more than capable of handling and living up to, and he's aware of those risks and aware of those circumstances. And the risk factor isn't as significant as, again, it might have been had it been like a foot, a leg, or a knee injury or anything of that sort. So I think the expectation should be, like, if I were betting on the situation, the expectation should be that number 5 is going to play, not just because of what he said, although I believe him in saying that he's going to play, just based off of the significance of the injury, based off of the history of the Kings with hand injuries and broken finger injuries this season, even though Fox's injury and Sabonis's injury are completely different, of course, and based off of course, the importance and the significance of Game 5. So number 5 is probably going to be suiting up for the Sacramento Kings. He's going to be ready to go. It sounds like he's going to be ready to go, which is excellent. Again, the question is, though, is De'Aaron Fox at 100% or not? Is De'Aaron Fox going to be able to be the guy that the Kings have relied on for the first 4 games of this series and will probably need to rely on if they want to win this series? Is Fox capable of being that guy with the hand injury? Well, we can look back at the last 5 or so minutes of the fourth quarter after he suffered the injury in the first place. He hit that massive 3 to give the Kings a chance to win at the end of the game. And he still played very well and very effectively, and we had no idea that there was anything wrong in the first place. So we can take heart or take positivity from that at the very least. But also, the reality is, whether De'Aaron Fox was coming into this game 100% or not, he needs more help than what he got in Game 4. I understand Keegan Murray was excellent, and I understand the Sacramento Kings nearly won that game. They don't need a whole hell of a lot more help. It's not like De'Aaron Fox is going to need every single person to score 15 plus points and make up for the 31 or 32 points per game that De'Aaron Fox has been scoring, right? I'm still pretty confident that Fox is going to be able to score in the mid to high 20s at the very least for Sacramento, even with the injury to his hand. At least I'd like to believe if he's playing through it, he's capable of doing that. But guys like Kevin Huerter, Domantas Sabonis, Harrison Barnes, 3 veteran players who have played in the playoffs before, who are part of the starting lineup. You need those guys to step up big in this game. Domantas Sabonis has not been himself really at any part during this series. I give the Golden State Warriors a lot of credit for that. And those of you who know the smack that I talked before the series or the previews of the series, I had very little faith in anything the Golden State Warriors could do defensively against Domantas Sabonis. I've been dead wrong about that, and I have no problem admitting I've been dead wrong about that. The Warriors have done an excellent job minimizing Domantas Sabonis' impact, and it's a damn good thing they did, because if they didn't, they would have been swept in 4 games more than likely, based off the fact that even without Sabonis playing as well as he's capable of playing, or even close to as well as he's capable of playing, the Kings are still even 2-2 with the defending champions. If the Kings get a big performance out of Domantas Sabonis, they're winning Game 5. But on top of that, like guys like Kevin Huerter, right? I know the Kings as a team have struggled shooting in this series, with the exception of Game 4. Kevin Huerter, historically, if you look back at this series, on games where Kevin Huerter was engaged, when he was scoring, when he was impactful, the Sacramento Kings are winning the vast majority of those games. Kevin Huerter takes so much off of the plate of guys like Fox and Sabonis at times when he is hitting shots. And on top of that, he naturally complements them with how well he spaces the floor. We saw bits and pieces of that, but for Keegan Murray, with how well he was scoring and spacing the floor and the perimeter shots that he was hitting in Game 4, right? And then Harrison Barnes. I spent the whole Game 4 post-game podcast telling you it's not Harrison Barnes' fault that the Sacramento Kings lost that game. I stand by that absolutely 100%. At the same time, Harrison, you're a veteran. You're a steady presence. You've been here, done that before. Could the Kings win with Harrison Barnes only scoring 9 points? They damn near did it in Game 4. So yes, they don't need Harrison to be a massive scoring impact, but they need him to be impactful in other ways, period. They need him to bring a veteran presence, a steadiness to Game 5, and there are going to be ups and downs during this game. And especially if De'Aaron Fox is not playing at 100% capacity, or is not capable of playing at the highest level that he normally plays at, or scoring at to the volume that he's capable of scoring at, and he has scored at in the series. Those 3 guys in particular, the Kings are going to need and are going to lean on heavily. I'm hoping Keegan Murray still has a great game. I'm hoping Malik Monk has another great game coming off the bench. I hope Davion Mitchell continues to play really well. I hope Trey Lyles has an impact spacing the floor off the bench as well. Like, I want everybody to play well and expect everybody to make an impact in some state or way, shape, or form. But the reality is the veterans in this series for the Kings have not performed to the level that is expected of them. The Kings' best players in this series have been De'Aaron Fox, his first playoff series. At times, Davion Mitchell, his first playoff series. Malik Monk, his first playoff series. And then in Game 4, Keegan Murray, his first playoff series. Veterans, the Kings need you to step up in this game regardless of the health status of De'Aaron Fox. That's non-negotiable. Whether Fox plays or doesn't play, we're going to be paying a very close attention to what these veterans do. And I bring this up not in a negative, or I say this not in an overly negative way or an overly critical way, but these are things that Monty McNair is keeping an eye out on, right? Because we're getting context of what the Kings can and can't do in the playoffs. We're getting an idea of how good the Sacramento Kings can be and how they can potentially build upon that. Fox has proven he's capable of success on this stage. I think Keegan Murray's too young to make any kind of ultimate decision, but what we saw from Keegan Murray in Game 4, great. What we've seen from Malik Monk off the bench, great. What we've seen from Davion Mitchell, great. How do the Kings improve from here? Monty is taking a look at guys like Kevin Huerter, taking a look at guys like Harrison Barnes. The Kings have a decision to make about Harrison Barnes this offseason. I'm going to stop and pump the brakes a little bit and make sure I'm not saying or suggesting that that Domantas Sabonis having a bad playoff series is going to change Monty McNair's mind on how much of a part of the Kings' future Domantas Sabonis is, because that's a little extreme. Sabonis, I think, is struggling with this matchup just as much as he's struggling with the playoff stage. But impactful veteran players, especially two starters in Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes, if they're not stepping up and carrying the weight that they need to carry for the Sacramento Kings, those are things that Monty McNair has to ultimately look at if he's looking to improve this roster. Those three players, Huerter, Sabonis, Barnes, I'm keeping a very close eye on the impact that they have and what they bring to the table for the Sacramento Kings in game 5. But the good news is it sounds like no matter what, they're going to be suiting up still with number 5 on the floor. And even if Fox is not at 100% peak speed, burst, scoring, clutch player of the year, all NBA first team capable, like even if Fox is not at his 100% best self, him being out there still makes a massive difference for the Sacramento Kings. And if Fox is only capable of getting you 20 points instead of 31 points, it's on the rest of the team to make up those 11 points and then some, especially defensively, when dealing with a Golden State Warriors team that is going to be gunning for the Sacramento Kings, trying to build upon their momentum and recognizing that if they win game 5, they can put things to bed on their home floor in game 6 on Friday. Like I said at the top of the show, today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by Game Time. This is, in my opinion, now the best app for you to go to get any of your tickets, especially last minute. My wife and I decided while we were in San Francisco, one of the off nights, Friday night, we decided, hey, we're staying right by Oracle Park. Why don't we go catch a Giants game? We hadn't thought about it until that day. We hadn't really planned anything until that day. So we went to buy the tickets just 3 hours before game time. We ended up sitting in the infield down the third base line behind a dugout about 15, 20 rows up for like $45 a pop. And those tickets the very next day on Saturday were going for like 100 and something bucks a pop. These are the deals that you can get on Game Time. And the reason why we got such a great deal is because they were having a flash deal. And Game Time has these flash deals on tickets for basketball, football, baseball, sporting events, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. You can see exactly what your view is going to be like from your seat. It also helped me make my decision of buying those tickets at Oracle Park, the Giants tickets. You can buy tickets in a matter of seconds. I was able to scoop them up really, really quickly. And the tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you don't have to dig through your email or anything like that. It was super easy for me to get them and get in. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is also brought to you by FanDuel. Grand slams, no hitters, and double plays are back. Yeah, we're talking about baseball season. There's no better place to get in on all the MLB action than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Now, of course, this isn't just for MLB betting. It's for NBA playoff betting as well. At FanDuel.com/lockedon, you sign up, you place your first bet, and you can get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. It means FanDuel wants you to continue playing, right? They don't just want you to deposit your money, make one bet, lose, log off, and never come back on. It's like an insurance policy. You either win that first bet, win your money, and just carry on, and you're already in the green, or FanDuel gives you multiple opportunities with bonus bets to get that money back and get yourself back into the green, and they're not going to take anything away from you. It's not like a loan or anything like that. It's just free bets for you to get yourself back into that green and to ultimately have fun. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. I'm not sure if you saw, but ESPN actually announced that Game 4 between the Kings and the Warriors was the highest rated opening round NBA playoff game in 21 years. That's pretty incredible. Kings and Warriors has been popping off. I said on yesterday or the last Locked On Kings podcast that this series has been a lot of fun from just a pure basketball standpoint. You take your rooting interest out of it and you're just watching basketball. Fox versus Steph, Splash Brothers, and Dynasty versus Fox Sabonis and this new era Kings team who hasn't been to the playoffs in 17 years or just made their return to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. Like this series has so much to it, so much narrative, so much drama. The games have been excellent, and it's good to see the television audience and television ratings reflective of that. And ultimately, who wins? Northern California, right? Well, actually, all NBA wins for how entertaining the series has been and how fun this series has been. But Northern California is winning because Northern California basketball is being put on the map right now. And that's something that I said coming into this series that I thought was going to be a lot of fun. The fact that these two teams were not just playing in the playoffs together for the first time, but they were clashing and meeting in a playoff series together. And the reality is, we all, no matter who we're rooting for, should be rooting for the best of the best to be available playing. Like we should all want, Warriors and Kings fans should all want De'Aaron Fox playing. Warriors and Kings fans should all want Steph Curry playing. Like we want to see the best of the best. We don't want this series, with how close and fun it has been, being marred or decided or changed because of injuries, especially to star players. I think one thing about this series that sometimes has gotten ugly, I think this is the first time truly, I think a lot of Kings fandom and Warriors fandom has really been introduced, because when the Kings were really good, the Warriors sucked. So the Kings didn't think much of the Warriors fan base. The Warriors have been really good, of course, over the last 9 or so years during this dynasty. The Kings have sucked. So the Warriors haven't thought much of Kings fans. Well, now both these teams are together and there's trash talk that I've actually really enjoyed. I've had great interactions with Golden State Warrior fans on social media, whether it's talking trash or seeing them face to face at games inside the Chase Center. Look, I've seen Kings fans and Warriors fans interacting in the Chase Center, and it's been fun. There's been trash talk, but it's been within the realm of the sport, within the realm of the game, and nobody was getting physical. Although I've seen these videos of these stupid, ridiculous fights happening outside the Chase Center between Kings and Warriors fans, or fans fighting at the Kings watch party for Game 4 inside the Golden One Center. You all look stupid. You're all idiots. Like you're a piss poor reflection on the organizations, on the fan bases. It doesn't matter who said what, or who's in the right, or who's in the wrong, or who threw the first punch. You all look stupid. Like fighting at sporting events is dumb. It's just stupid. And the majority of fans are able to talk their trash and go at one another and say what they got to say without taking it and letting it escalate to that level. And I was in Chase Center the last 2 games. I interacted with Warrior fans who were wonderful to me. I watched Kings and Warriors fans interact with each other, and they were encouraging each other in the sense of like, hey, let's talk, let's have some fun, let's spice this up, let's put some. I mean, we both want our teams to win really, really, really bad, but it didn't escalate and get to a point of just like drunken screaming and cursing at each other, or throwing punches, or pushing or shoving, or any kind of contact made. Like that's how it should be. And I understand there are idiots on both sides. There's idiots in every single fan base, right? So I'm not saying that one fan base is better than the other or anything else, but I will say that I have seen the ugly side too of Warriors fandom. I've seen the ugly side of Kings fandom. Like I already knew the ugly side of Kings fandom exists. I've existed with them and interacted with them for almost my entire life, and certainly my entire career. What I find funny is how the narratives around this series have so drastically changed from after Game 2 to where we're at today. And yeah, Warrior fans, I'm kind of calling you out here. And it's even Warriors media members, Warriors radio. I was listening to Warriors Talk Radio. I've been listening to Bay Area radio a lot this week. Most of it's fun. I've appeared on Warriors shows and Bay Area radio, and I've had a lot of fun talking smack to people that I have no problem talking smack to, and just talking the series and previewing games. And it's all, again, in good fun. But the ridiculousness of the gap between game 2 and game 3 and the amount of bitching, moaning, and crying that came not just from Warrior fans, but from Bay Area media and these ridiculous narratives like DeMontis Sabonis was using the ball as a weapon and is a tremendously dirty player, that Draymond Green didn't do anything wrong stomping DeMontis Sabonis in the chest, and that Sabonis was faking and milking it. There are people saying, now these are more fans than media members, that are saying that De'Aaron Fox is faking or milking this injury that he's dealing with his hand. There were comments of the league wanting the Sacramento Kings to win and conspiracy theories as to the referees were screwing the Golden State Warriors over and helping the Sacramento Kings. And now suddenly this series is even 2 games apiece. And suddenly there's a swagger. Suddenly there's here we go. Golden Warriors. Like, here we come. We're the defending champs. It was a cute run, Queens. But here you go. Where the big boys are here to put the little kids to bed. Like it's I get it. Like, trash talk happens. Circumstances change. I don't think there was any Kings fan with a brain cell that was going into game 3 going, we got this series on lock. And maybe Kings fans were feeling themselves after game 2 saying like sweep or Kings in 5 or whatever, just having fun and celebrating. But the reality was Kings fans knew and Sacramento knew that this series was far from over. And that the Golden State Warriors are such a damn good team at home that it was going to be tough for the Kings to win any games, let alone both games, to complete a sweep. I think it's funny going into game 5, how all of a sudden there's this confidence and this belief from Golden State Warrior fans that the Kings are dead and the Kings are doomed. And this was even before De'Aaron Fox's injury, when 5 days ago, it was a complete and colossal meltdown because the Kings were up 2-0. The reality is this, for both sides, Kings fans included, this series is super even. And I think that speaks more to the credit of the Sacramento Kings than anything else. The Kings are going toe-to-toe with the Dynasty Warriors. This series is super even. It's going to go to 6 games minimum, might go to 7 games. I predicted it to go to 7 games. I think it should go to 7 games with how good the series has been. This series is a coin flip. It truly is, which I think is excellent for both teams, excellent for both fan bases. So let's have fun. Let's talk our trash. I don't think we need to go overboard if the Kings win game 5 and start making all these excuses, just like if the Warriors win game 5, Sacramento Kings fans shouldn't make all these excuses. Look, the Kings lost game 4 because they missed a big shot and they turned the ball over. You're not hearing excuses on this end, or at least from me. Sacramento Kings honk over here. The Kings lost game 4 fair and square. The Kings lost game 3 because they got their ass kicked in other areas of the box score other than just shooting that they've actually done pretty well for the rest of this series. Accountability over here. I know why the Sacramento Kings are losing basketball games. I know why this series is 2-2. And it's certainly not because the Golden State Warriors are intentionally trying to hurt the Sacramento Kings, just like DeMontis Sabonis is not trying to use the ball as a weapon to take out Draymond Green and Kevon Looney and whoever he can get his hands on. That's enough of that silliness. Just enjoy the series for what it is. 2 really good basketball teams going at each other. Either one can win. And it looks like it's going to be the Lakers who are going to be waiting for both of these teams, or either one of these teams, after this series is over. I like both these teams against the Lakers. I know the Lakers are playing well, but I think the Golden State, and maybe I'm disrespecting the Lakers a little bit. I think the Warriors or the Kings are going to have an easier time against the Lakers than they're having against each other. This episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy the way it was meant to be played. Here's how it works. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go and score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So let's say for game 5 going in, that De'Aaron Fox's projection is 25.5 points. Let's say DeMontis Sabonis's is 22.5 points, and Steph Curry's is 30.5 points. Let's say you pick the over on all 3. If you get that right, you can win 25 times your money. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch, including the NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. They offer safe and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and in Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, you get $100. You deposit $50, you get $50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. I believe, and I don't have this number exactly in front of me, but I believe in an NBA playoff series, the winner of Game 5 wins the series over 80% of the time. I think, from the Kings' perspective, I think it is more likely for this series to end in 6 if the Warriors win Game 5 than if the Kings win Game 5. Not a homer take, of course. That is that's more of a pro Warriors or positive Warriors take. If the Sacramento Kings lose Game 5, if they lose tomorrow night, I think they're losing this series in 6. If the Sacramento Kings win tomorrow night, yes, there's a bunch of pressure on the Golden State Warriors, but they're going back to Golden State where we know they're very, very, very good. So I would have to reassess going into that game based off of how Game 5 goes. If this series goes to 7, it's as big of a coin flip as it could possibly be, especially in Sacramento. Maybe the home team wins out for this entire series and the Sacramento Kings simply win because they have home court advantage. Maybe it ends up coming to that. I don't know. But Game 5 is a massive, massive game that the Golden State Warriors, I think, could probably afford to lose. The Sacramento Kings, I don't think they can afford to lose Game 5. But if De'Aaron Fox is 80 to 90% of what he's capable of being and what he's been so far in this series, I don't think the Sacramento Kings are losing Game 5. Guys need to step up, Fox included. You know the Golden State Warriors are going to show up ready to play and trying to throw some haymakers. Maybe Game 4, what they did against the Kings in Game 4 offensively was the best that they can do. But it doesn't mean that they can't rally and do the same thing again. So the Kings have to be prepared for that. I can't wait for Game 5. Of course, the energy in the Golden One Center is going to be off the charts. I know Draymond Green is going to get booed out of this building. I also know that De'Aaron Fox deserves a massive ovation and hopefully gets that from the fans if he does end up playing hurt. If there's any more updates that come out about De'Aaron Fox's status, I'll, of course, have them for you on the Locked On Kings podcast. You can find my updates on Twitter at MattGeorgeSack. You can email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com if you have any questions. And, of course, if you want to comment on anything on today's show, you can in the YouTube comment section down below. Warriors fans, I see you, and I do appreciate you. I've had good interactions with you. I know a lot of you have come from my throat about my anti-Kevon Looney takes and things like that going into the series. You can take victory laps on that all you want. Kevon Looney has been excellent. The Sacramento Kings are still 2-2 with the defending champ Golden State Warriors. So you can say that, and I can still feel excellent with how the Sacramento Kings have played and where the Kings are at to this point. This series has been a blast. I want it to go forever. It's been so much fun, and I can't wait for Game 5 tomorrow. I also can't wait for the next episode of Locked On Kings. We'll have a post-game episode after tomorrow night's game, win or lose for the Kings, so be sure to join me for that. Until then, my name is Matt George. You have been listening to Locked On Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.